My problem was the tops of my feet was all numbed, and when I was walking around, I couldn't even feel the stairs in the house. So I went to my doctor's, and she said, "You've got diabetes, and what it's done, it's affected the tops of your feet, and the little veins in your feet, it's more or less destroyed them." So I said, "Cool, and what with the pain, I can't sleep overnight even." So she said, "Oh, what we can do then?" She gave me about nearly 100 painkillers, which I only took a couple because I thought I'm not going to continue taking all these painkillers. It was like sharp pain. It looks like someone was going to cut your foot off. That's how sharp it was, the pain. And you couldn't even sleep overnight with it. The turning point for me is when I was outside and it was the Rainbow Theatre, and then I thought I'd come in to see what it was all about, because I used to come in here as a boy when it was a cinema. And then I thought I'd come in to view it because I was looking for a great church, but I could understand what the bishop was talking about, and it puts your mind in rest. So I thought I'd come in, and like I say, when I did come into the church, it was the church for me, because I could understand what the bishop was talking about. The sound in the building was so great. Because it was a cinema, he didn't have to speak so loud, and everyone could hear what he was talking about. When I did leave the place, when the bishop did pray for me, and I went outside, all my feet was back to normal, and they've been back to normal ever since. And I haven't had no problems. Tablets and everything's gone back. I don't take no more. So, like I say, I'm back to normal and can walk anywhere and go up and down stairs, no problems. And that was through the power of God in this church, what's helped me out and got me out of trouble.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. Now, the topic for this evening is called Them and Us. What is it talking about, them and us? Well, society, the average Joe Blogs, they normally think or say, you know, there is us and then there is the super rich, the people who are in power, the people who seem to get richer and the poor seem to get poorer. Now, if you think like this, and you are in, you know, you're in the lower class, if I can say. I don't know if we're called lower class anymore, but, you know, you're not seen to be successful in life. You look at yourself and you think, you know what, I'll never make it. Can there be any way that you can change from being where you are to being successful? That's the topic for tonight. Is there a them and us, or can you actually succeed? Can you actually be rich, become rich? I'm not talking about playing the lottery. I'm not talking about going on game shows and winning lots of prizes, or, you know, going on reality TV and then from there you go into something else and then you become a millionaire literally overnight. I'm talking about hard graft. I'm talking about work for you to become successful. Can you actually make it in life? Let's have a look at this video to see more about tonight's topic.
Looking at super successful people, one thing is often a common element, that of hard work. But is hard work alone enough to be super successful? Do you need to have high intelligence too? Are people born with a certain level of intelligence, or is this a learned phenomenon? This topic seems to throw up more questions than answers. Richard Branson is often thought of as one of the most successful businessmen in the UK. He is an icon of entrepreneurship. At 16, he left school and set up a student magazine with one of his friends. He founded a record company and has his own airline, mobile and train company to name but a few. He may soon be flying people to the moon. So what exactly is it that makes some people super successful, but others not so successful? Do super successful people always feel ready to start ambitious projects? Or do they just say to themselves, let's try this and see what happens? It could be that super successful people have failed on many projects. You just don't hear about them. A popular magazine states that super successful people do 5 things before 8 a.m. Exercise, map out their day, eat a healthy breakfast, visualize or meditate, do the least desirable thing on their list first. But can this be the answer to becoming super successful? Are they the chosen ones? Or do they choose themselves? Is there a real difference between them and us? If you can't understand why you aren't super successful, or you think you know the secret to being super successful, then why not give us a call? Our number is 020 7686 6300, or send us an email at help@findinganswers.tv. Alternatively, if you would like to talk to us via social media, then send us a tweet. Just start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV, or search for Finding Answers on Facebook.
Well, there you have it. Those are the contact details. If you like to contact us, maybe you want to share your view on air, or maybe you want to talk to someone. If you feel as though you're stuck in a rut and you don't, no matter what you try to do, things just seem to be crumbling around you. You don't feel as though you are successful, that you can make it in life. You know, God has a plan for all of us. And part of his plan is that you succeed. No matter what you want to do, no matter your goals in life, he wants you to reach and succeed in your goals. He wants that for you. He wants you to be the best that you can be. As we said last week, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil, not money itself. And God, he wants you to be rich. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to actually use money as a tool to do good to others in this world, and not to be a slave to money. So if you find yourself a slave, if there's an opportunity to get any form of money, you're willing to sell your soul in order to obtain money. You're willing to sell your own mother in order to get money. God doesn't want that for you. What he wants is for you to use money as a tool. So whatever you receive, you'll be able to use it at your disposal because you are in control of it. So if you find yourself a slave, if you find yourself struggling hard, you're not reaching your goals, and you want to be successful, then a door could be opened for you, an opportunity could be opened for you after one prayer. And on tonight's program, you're gonna hear 2 successful stories of people who have, I wouldn't say made it, but they are comfortable where they are, but not just comfortable, they are achieving much more. But there's something that they did. They had to use their faith to get where they are. And because they found the secret, they are working to be successful. They're working to grow in their financial situation. You're going to hear about their story later on. But with me tonight, it's Victoria. Hi, Victoria.
Hiya.
How are you doing?
Very good, thanks.
Those 5, was it 5 points?
Yes, it was 5 points, yeah.
About things you should do before 8 a.m. in the morning.
Well, it's a popular magazine stated that super successful people do those 5 things before 8 a.m. So I'm not sure how much research is in it,
yes,
but it's a suggestion about what super successful people might do.
Right. In other words, they get up early in the morning, they kind of get those things, and one of them was to plan out your day.
Yeah, that's it. So number 2 was map out their day.
Right. So, if you are in bed, you go to bed late, you get up late, and you expect to look for a job at 10, 11, 12 in the afternoon, you're not going to be successful. You're not even going to get a job. Actually, you're not successful if you get a job, because maybe you're getting that job to pay bills. So actually, you're still in the red. But if you want to be successful, you've got to start up early. You've got to do something different that the majority of people who are not working are not doing, maybe. So if you want this success, if you want, to find out the key, stay tuned, listen to the program and listen to the 2 stories of people who are working towards achieving their financial goals. All right, so Victoria, you've given away the contact details. You've already done my job tonight.
Sorry.
So once again, if you'd like to give us a call, the number is 0207 686 6300. You can also send an email with your comments to help@findinganswers.tv. Stay tuned, because when we're back, we're going to go into this story, or should I say this topic, a lot more. We'll see you after this.
How does someone regain the will to live again? Let us help you.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
If you're a single mother suffering from a troubled past, then don't lose hope. There's always someone you can turn to. We understand. With all the challenges of everyday life, the financial responsibility, and the pressure of being a single parent, life can be overwhelming at times. Single parents and their children can flourish, but without the right support, a family can fall apart. The Tamar Group is there for lone parents who need guidance, support, and encouragement to get them through their everyday battles. Whether it's a group discussion, a mother and child bonding session, or some personal advice, we are here for you. Everyone needs a helping hand at one point or another. Let us be yours. For more information on our meetings and where the nearest Tamar Group is to you, then visit our website uckg.org/Tamar or give us a call on 020 7686 6000.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, tonight's topic is called Them and Us. And I'd just like to remind you that Victoria has an interview with Dr. Hamira Riaz. And Victoria, what should we be talking about tonight?
So I'm talking to her about the difference between super successful people and the rest of the world.
There you go. If you want to hear more about that, stay tuned. And right at the end of the program, we're going to be praying with Pastor Edward. He's going to be joining me later on in the program. So let's now meet our 2 guests for tonight, Michael and Anne.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So joining me in the studio tonight is Michael and Anne. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Very good.
Thanks for coming on the program. Now, you have 2 stories to say, right? You've got your own story to say about coming from quite humble beginnings. So I want to talk to you, Michael. You were homeless at one point.
Indeed, I was.
How long were you homeless for?
For a few months.
A few months. Can you tell us about that?
So I was kicked out of my house at a young age, from about the age of 14. And during that time, I spent time bouncing from friends to friends' houses, or on some occasions sleeping in the park and things like that. So in essence, during that period of time...
You slept in the park at 14
Yeah.
years old?
Yeah.
That must have been hard for a 14-year-old boy.
It was extremely scary, put it that way. It wasn't a very nice experience, but it was something that stuck with me for quite a while. So sleeping in the park definitely had a massive impact in the sense of the way that I saw things. But in terms of like my whole financial aspect of how I was, it was pretty much non-existent. So it was money comes to hand, money goes to mouth, sort of thing. So there was nothing there.
How were you getting money at 14 years old?
It was through some illegal activity. So
in other words, to survive?
To survive, basically. So yeah, a lot of it was illegal activity. Or if friends would give me money, basically. So my mum had cut me off pretty much completely at the time. So it was literally just asking people. So I was pretty fortunate in the sense that a lot of people who were around me, like friends, they were quite caring and understanding. So their families helped me out in terms of asking me if I wanted to come over for dinner and stuff like that, and they were pretty patient with me.
Okay, so from there, how did life progress for you? Because, you know, we're going to talk more about it later on, but you are in maybe one of your dream jobs.
Yeah.
A dream job right now, right?
Yeah.
So from being homeless, how did your life pan out? What happened?
So, as I said, I was homeless between the ages of 14 to 16. So it was in and out of different places, but essentially I was homeless. And I was invited to a local church that I decided to go along to just to sit down and spend some time with one of my friends, because it was just an invite. But there was some messages that I heard. So something that was spoken that sort of stuck out for me. And I thought I might as well continue coming. And it started to work on the way that I saw things. My perspective started to change about myself, about how I should go about my finances. So I just continued challenging myself. I continued pushing myself in my faith.
So before we talk about that,
Yeah.
You were invited to a church.
Yeah.
And you were 16?
16, yeah.
At the time. So what made you go to church?
It's because the person I was living with at the time, she sort of said that, look, you don't have anything left. Like, you don't have anything to lose. So in the beginning, I said that I don't see the point in me going to church. Churches don't help. Prayers don't help. I mean, I prayed when I was in the park. Nothing changed.
So that's what many people that we come across, people that come to church, you know, every single day, they normally say this, you know, especially homeless people. They say, you know, what's prayer going to do? What's their need? Their need is food. They want something hot to drink.
Yeah.
They want to fill their stomach, right? And maybe a bit of money to go out and buy more food.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the problem with that is the money's going to run out. They're going to get hungry later on in the day, and they're going to want more money. They want more food, right? But that's not going to solve your problem. But you were praying in the park, but you still didn't believe in God.
No, I was just using any option I could think of.
Right.
So I remember it very clearly. I was sitting on a fallen tree, so basically just a log. And I was saying,
was this?
This is in Hackney Downs Park.
Hackney Downs, okay.
Yeah. So I remember sitting there, it was like around midnight, 1 o'clock. And I was just saying to myself, I don't know what I'm doing here. My mum clearly doesn't care about me right now. I didn't feel like I had anybody I could turn to at that moment, because I felt like everybody I was turning to was just receiving more of my problems, and I didn't want to put that on people anymore. So as I was sitting there, I said, look, if there's a God, I don't know why I'm praying, but if there is a God, help me out, like do something. And I don't know why I was expecting something to happen immediately, like for some sort of angel or something to come down and say, look, here's a plate of food and here's the keys to a new house. I knew nothing was going to happen like that, but I just thought I should do it anyway.
There was that hope.
There was that hope that something was just going to come up. That I might walk, like find £50 on the floor or something like that. But it didn't work out like that.
Right. So how long after that prayer in that park did you actually see something?
3 years later.
3 years. So what were you doing between that prayer and the time you stepped foot in the church?
Yeah, so between that time, again, I was finishing off school. So I continued to do my GCSEs. Thankfully, I did quite well on my GCSEs.
Were you back home at the time, or
No.
where were you staying?
So one of my friends at the time, her family allowed me to come and stay with them. And she would bring me her work from her school, and I would stay home and study with her.
Right.
Because my school wasn't allowing me to attend the school during the time. So I continued studying with her. I would go and attend school if I could during the daytime. If I couldn't, I would just continue working throughout the day. And then post finishing school, when I had my GCSEs, I started going to college and attending college. Again, I was still living with the same person, and her family was still supporting me during that time, and I just continued studying.
How did you feel, obviously being, in someone else's house, feeding you, things like that? Were you comfortable with it?
No, it was obviously nice that someone was caring about you, in the sense that people are there to try and help you out, and they're not putting things on me. But I felt like a burden because I'm not their child. They didn't bring me into the world, so in actual fact, I'm no responsibility of theirs.
Yeah.
So I felt that me eating the food or me sleeping in their living room and stuff like that was just an inconvenience for them. But
so you're like in a catch-22 situation.
Yeah,
You're comfortable in there, but at the same time, you're grateful that.
Yeah. So I was uncomfortable, but obviously I didn't want to go back to the park. So as much as I wanted to sort of like alleviate the stress from them and leave and go back home if I could, it just wasn't happening like that.
Yeah. So did you actually finish school?
Yeah, I finished school, yes.
Yeah. But how was finances for you?
Non-existent. I didn't have finance. The money I had was basically through the person who was taking care of me.
Really, even after school?
Yeah.
Did you ever get a job? Did you find work at all?
No, I did do one job when I was in college, which was catering, like attending events, but that was a 0 hours contract job. So it was, if I could get work that day, I would get work that day. So it wasn't a guaranteed thing.
Right. And what was your prospect? I mean, what was your goal in life? What did you want to do?
I wanted to do what quite a lot of you young people wanted to do. I want a business. What business? I didn't have any clue. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was just sort of I'd throw a dart and say business is the right direction. You can make money that way. But I didn't have any prospects in the beginning.
Really?
No.
Okay. We're going to hear from you how things change. You did mention something, but we'll hit on that afterwards, okay? Anne, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, how was life for you?
For me, it was always a struggle. So I think from a young age, as long as I can remember, actually, things were always tight, always difficult. I never remember there being a sense of having a lot around. But I did have aspirations, I did have goals, I did have dreams, and I knew that I wanted to not have the life of always lacking, but that desire didn't, and that aspiration didn't change the reality.
What was your family background? I mean, who was in the home?
It was my mum, my two sisters and I.
Right.
So my mum was and still is very, very hardworking. But even though she'd work hard, I remember she'd leave the house early to go and work. She'd be working in the evenings. So she was always working. I don't remember her lounging around doing anything, but still there was this struggle, this scarcity at home. So that's how it was. So as I said, I knew that I didn't want that for myself, but I could see that as time was passing, there was no fruition in my life. So I was still just one more, if that makes sense. things weren't developing for me. I wasn't moving forward. I was just there, and that was never how I wanted to be. So I had a sense of dissatisfaction, because from how I had visualized my life, I was seeing that the reality was something completely different.
So did you go through school, college, university?
I did, yeah. I went to school, went to college. I took a year out and then went to university.
Right.
Throughout that time, even from school, I've always been working. But again, I was working, but there was always the struggle. There was always the hardship.
What kind of work would you get into?
Administration. I started off with administration in the office and moved on to events, and that's where I had always been.
Right.
From there, so.
But still, there was kind of struggle.
There was always a struggle. There was always scarcity. I couldn't really put my finger on why that was the case. So I wasn't a lazy person. I was always working, as I'd mentioned, but I just never had enough for what I wanted, or at least, or even what I needed.
Would you say you were in control of the money that you used to receive, or would you be a slave of the money that you had? Would you let money control you?
The way I'd say it is that money would disappear. I think that's the best way to explain it. Money would come, of course I'd be paid, but there'd always be something to pay, an unexpected bill or something that needed urgent attention. So the money would come in, but there was never that, oh, I've got this amount of money to enjoy or to do X, Y, Z with. It was always a case of the money's come, but the money is gone. Before the money even hit my account, I already had visions of what I needed to pay, and that's exactly how it was for years.
You know, you saying that money would slip out of your hands. And that's a common thing that I hear a lot through people that, you know, come and talk to myself and my colleagues. And maybe you are going through the same thing. Every time money comes in the form of the wage packet, whether that's weekly or monthly or whatever it is, anytime you receive any kind of money and you have plans for that money, for example, you know you've got the bills to pay, the expenditures, you know that you've got to buy food, but also you plan to buy something. You know, you want to buy that garment, that nice outfit you're planning to buy, and you know, treat yourself to something. But then you find that there's a pattern. Every time you plan for something, something else goes wrong. So if you own a car, you know, the tire, what's the word? You know, the tire bursts. Thank you very much. The tire bursts. We've got a great team here supporting me. The tire bursts, and you've got to fork out, what, 25, 30 pounds, depending on it. You know, that's money that you didn't plan to spend elsewhere. You want it to be spent on that garment or to surprise your partner, but the tire bursts. Then you get a flood, the washing machine breaks down, and then you've got to get someone out to come and fix it. It means maybe you have to stay the whole day at home waiting for the plumber to come round, and you've lost a day's work, and then the plumber doesn't even come round, right? So you're losing out. And this is something that's very common among a lot of people who are going through financial problems. Can you say that was you, Anne?
Bang on. That's exactly how it was. And then what it resulted in was a sense of dissatisfaction. I was just not satisfied at all. Even though I couldn't say the problem was with my the workplace, what I was doing. I enjoyed what I was doing, but there was just nothing that I could hold on to. Yeah. And then that's when, just similarly to what Michael said, I had the idea, okay, I'm going to start my own business. Because I'd sort of had enough of never having or being able to do what I wanted to do. So I thought, right, I'm going to solve this and I'm going to start a business.
Stop there. We're going to hear, after the break, what you did, all right? Exactly how your life has turned around. Now, I want to go back to the subject. If you feel as though money is like water in your hands, you get money, but it disappears, goes down the drain. And you want to know how to find a cure, how you can beat this, right? It's like something is devouring your money. Something is eating away at what you have. If If you want to know, before we go for the break, pick up the phone, give us a call now. The number's on your screen. You're going to find out how, because it's proven. These two do it, I do it, and if you want the same thing, if you want your money to be protected, if you want to be blessed, if you want to see more of what you have and enjoy it, then give us a call. Someone will be at the end of the line to give you the advice that you need. And you're going to hear this from any financial advisor. You're not going to hear it from any banker. You're not going to hear it from any professional, any expert in the field of finances, but from our colleagues, my colleagues at the other end of the line. And it works. If you want, pick up the phone. You're going to get free advice. And after the break, you're going to find out how these two turned their financial situation around from being, homeless, from wanting to be happy financially speaking, wanting to but never actually reaching there, as Anne said. Now you're going to see after the break where they are today. We'll see you after this.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort and homework from you.
Mum, have I ever told you how uniquely special you are? No one else supported me for 9 months in her room, feeling pain and discomfort. I say this very little, but you are incredible. Thank you. For the moments you've had to stay up late taking care of me. For the strength you've shown when all seemed to be failing. For believing in my potential. Thank you for every moment you looked at me wondering what on earth you were going to do with me. Mum, thank you for the words of encouragement that still keep me going. Mum, God will never forget you and continue to bless all that you do. This special day is dedicated to you, dearest mother. Won't you accept my invitation to be my guest of honor? You are specially invited to this unique Mothering Sunday, 10 a.m. at your local UCKG Help Centre, where you will receive a special gift just for you. A beautiful rose. For more information, Call 020 7686 6000 or visit uckg.org.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Tonight our topic is them and us. So as usual, we've been out and about talking to the general public on the streets of London about this topic.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and family as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi, I'm Chica on the streets of London for Finding Answers. Super successful people, that's the topic for tonight. So I'm going to ask the general public who they most aspire to be like. Let's see what they say. What super successful person would you say that you would aspire to be like?
I would have to say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, definitely. As myself, I'm looking to be a pro wrestler. I'm actually training at the moment with Lucha Underground, Lucha Britannia. People check it out. And I'm looking to obviously walk towards being and doing. If I could do as much as The Rock, that would be amazing. I mean, obviously he's started his career from the WWE and then ascended into Hollywood, and he's one of the top paid actors in the world right now. So if I would say anyone, I would say definitely The Rock.
I don't really aspire to be anyone because I think one should believe in oneself than to aspire to be someone else, I think. So yeah, no one really.
I would like to be like Sinita because she is a good dancer of the pole dance and I really love that.
I think that would definitely have to be Annie Humphreys, who was once upon a time a colour director at Vidal Sassoon. She worked with him for many years and she's just amazing colourist.
Well, who do you aspire to be like? I hope not The Rock, right? But that's what people want to aspire to. Now remember, if you are going through, or should I say, any kind of problems, don't think that your dreams cannot be realised. You can achieve your goals. And at the end of the program, we'll be having, once again, Pastor, I forgot his name. What's up with me today? Pastor Edward. Thank you, Pastor Edward. Pastor Edward, who'll be saying the prayer with myself and you. All right? So, guys, back to you. Michael.
Yes.
Today, you're in your dream job.
Yep.
But you wanted to. Tell us, how did you get there from being homeless at 14 years old?
So, continuing on from when I left school, I continued to go on to college. I was studying subjects that I thought would take me to where I wanted to be, so government, politics, English, and business. So all those areas that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. But I felt really uncomfortable being in the institution in terms of like the Institute of Education, so I decided to leave and try to pursue my career in other ways, in the sense of trying to just apply for jobs. But I wasn't getting much luck in the sense of everything I was applying for in the beginning, nothing was working out. I actually started to apply for things like Tesco, Lidl's, Sainsbury's, like the normal high street retailers.
Was that just to get money?
Just to get money, because it was literally, I was empty of everything. So I was depending on, at the time, was EMA, which has now been abolished. And anything that I would get from like the college hardship funds and stuff like that. And because I was obviously leaving the college, I didn't want to stay there anymore.
So you mentioned that you got invited to a church.
Yes, indeed.
And you went along.
Yes.
Right? Tell us, what did your finances change like that with a prayer?
No, it didn't change in a prayer. Like, same as I said about the one when I was on the park log. It doesn't change with a prayer, but what I was taught there and what I heard was very helpful. So one of the first things that I took into straight away was the fact that they helped me to build upon myself. So I realized no one's going to employ somebody whose self-esteem and things like that is really low. They want someone who's confident. They want someone who's driven and stuff like that. And that
wasn't you at that time?
That wasn't me at all. At the time, I was depressed and a mess. But in the church that I was going to, one of the things that there was always going on about was, look, if God is real, then he's going to change your life. You can be different. You can grow. You can achieve things. You can set yourself challenges and make sure that they become realities, that these are all things possible through God. And I'd never heard of a church speaking like that before. My perception of church in the beginning was just you listen to the hymns and you make prayers and incense and stuff like that. The traditional things that I've heard about. But this was very different. It was very direct and proactive. So there were many meetings where they would challenge people to go out and they had this I remember one thing that they had when I first started, which was the 3 months to excel, where people were being challenged to go out and in over these next 3 months, try and either start working towards an idea, if it's a business, or working towards locating your dream job. And
was that the kickstart to your channel?
That was one of the kickstarts.
3 months to excel.
I'd heard about it. I had actually attended afterwards.
Okay.
But because I'd heard about other people's stories through that, it just pushed me to say, okay, if these guys went on through this 3 months to excel thing, and they're in the church and they would listen to what was being said and they kickstarted themselves into their careers.
What did you hear?
What
were the positive stories from that 3 months to excel that you heard?
The way people were driving themselves, that people were from my similar background in terms of they came from the areas that I came from, they were young. They were pushing themselves to achieve things that most other people our age wouldn't even look to. So starting their own businesses, some of them who were 17, 18 years old were trying to start businesses. And one of the ones that I heard, which was quite successful, was a recycling business that one of the young men was working on. And I thought that, wow, for you to have the confidence to even attempt to run your own company at such a young age, that for me was unheard of. Most of the guys that I know, they're all looking to get into JD and something like that. If you got a job in JD, you were the man. This guy was there trying to start up his own business in recycling. So I took that upon myself. I said, okay, if he can do that, I can pursue my dreams in a similar sort of fashion.
We don't have much time.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got the job that you're doing. What was it that you heard? What did you do? And where are you working today?
So I heard a message basically saying to me that I should go out and not accept anything less than the best. So I went out and I started to apply to companies that were leaders in their industries. So leading banks, leading insurance firms, government departments and so on. And I actually got interviews for each of them that I went for, and I got offered each of them. To basically explain the reason why I believe I was offered each of them, because that's not normal for someone to go into every single interview, which was 7 interviews that I had, and be offered all 7 jobs at the same time. That was, for me, as far as I'm concerned, a challenge that I did with God, and God honoured it.
Yeah.
I made my prayer to God saying, look, I want to see you in my life. I want to see my finances change. I want to see what's spoken in this church become reality in my life. And I said, I will do my part. I will go out, I will apply, I will make sure that I speak as well as I can. I'll make sure I do my research. But with every part of my efforts, you need to back me up and give me the support as well.
Right.
That was the intelligent prayer, which is what I was taught how to do when I started coming to church.
What's your job role today?
So my job role today is I'm a policy assistant in Her Majesty's Treasury, which is the Ministry of Finance for the UK. I work in the growth and productivity team, which looks at how the economy grows and how we can increase productivity and growth within the UK.
Okay.
So for
Happy?
me, it's a dream job. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Anne.
Yes.
We don't have much time. Please tell us what happened with yourself.
So I decided to start my own business, obviously with the idea that I'm not bound by a certain amount of income every month. In doing that, I was very motivated at the beginning, had a lot of energy, a lot of drive, but there started the biggest hardship of my life, I could say. I escalated into debts. I didn't have debts before, so I now had debts. I had bills on my shoulder. Every client that came in, the money, again, just like when I was working, had somewhere that it needed to go, but this time on a greater level. But because, like Michael, I had been attending a church and was hearing messages that would make me believe that I can achieve something greater, that I can succeed, it kept me pushing, it kept me fighting. So even though on the one hand the stress factor was there, on the other hand I had the words that I was hearing, that you can make it, you have to persevere, it's not going to be easy, but keep going. I believe that if I apply these things and again make a challenge myself, challenge God, who I was hearing about, that he would open up a door for me. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I decided to make that challenge. I believe that if I were to go ahead and keep pushing, that God would direct me. I realized that to a certain extent, I'd been fighting by my own strength for what I'd been acquiring in, say, marketing conventions or what have you. But then afterwards, after this challenge, I realized that I needed to depend on God. There was only so much that I could do or that I could achieve. So I made that decision, I made that challenge, and after that I started to see things change almost immediately.
Really?
Immediately, yeah. The very next day I had clients coming out of nowhere, and a different level of clients as well, those that would have a lot more that they could invest, let's say. Now things are completely different. In this particular business, it was just focused in London. Now I've branched out to Birmingham. I have vision to see it escalate to different towns as well.
What's your business? What do you do?
We do tailor-made wedding dresses.
Right.
Yeah, so clients provide a sketch or ideas of what they want, and then we help them to build that idea. That
so
dress.
Literally overnight, you saw God's hand in your business.
And it was overnight. We'd been slugging at it, I can say, for about 1.5 years, 2 years. But then after that challenge, after that challenge that I made, I cleared all the debts that I owed within 2 months. In 2 months, I made more than I'd made in the previous 2 years combined.
Really?
Yeah, doors just opened.
You consider that was the hand of God?
It was the hand of God. It was clearly the hand of God. And it actually got to the point where I thought, I was now able to make the decision of, okay, I'm not going to take this client on. Oh, okay, I'll take that client on. It got to a point that there was too many of them, and that's why I decided to branch out, etc., right. Take on staff and what have you. So, and it all started from that point.
And for both of you, this is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've seen what God has done through your faith, but you're both wanting more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to both succeed, all right? Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Now, we would normally go for a break, but I want to go to the interview that Victoria did with Dr. Hanifa. Hanifa? Hanifa? Hamira, even better. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Dr. Hamira Riaz, who's going to be talking about this subject. So let's have a look at this interview now.
So, Dr. Riaz, welcome to the programme. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, we've had a few questions again come in on Facebook and Twitter, so I'm going to run through as many as I can. So, the first one is, what does super successful actually mean?
Super successful are those people who have outperformed. They've reached the top of the tree in their chosen careers. It could be A-list celebrities, it could be politicians who've reached the highest levels of government, it could be musicians, artists, executives who've gone on to be billionaires, that sort of thing.
Okay, so what are the key personality traits or experiences that super successful people have compared to, say, the rest of us?
Well, it turns out that actually there are some common themes if you look at the histories and the stories of super successful people. Some of them are about personality traits. They do seem to have a level of single-mindedness and focus from a very early age, and a sort of a self-confidence, a self-belief that the rest of us might not have. So it's similar to what we have, but just much more of it.
So single-mindedness, do you mean selfish in some way?
Oh, sort of, yes, a sort of a tunnel vision around the way they want to live their lives and what they want out of their lives, and the belief that they can actually achieve it. And it comes out quite early on as a child. So that sort of piece does come through from the stories of very successful people. But there's also some common experiences that they have. Most super successful people talk about the feeling of being an outsider when they were children. They may feel that they were let down in some way by figures of authority, so they had something to prove. There might be a desire to escape, so that the place that they grew up in felt too small. They wanted to broaden their horizons, and they thought that the world was a much bigger place than the one that the adults around them were leading them to believe. So those are the sorts of things that come out in if you start to examine the stories of people who've gone on to be super successful.
So, are super successful people driven by the same things as everybody else?
Broadly speaking, I would say so. So I think in the first sort of 20 to 30 years of life, most people are driven by the same sort of symbols of success. And by that I mean financial security, recognition by peers, status in society, all of the sort of trappings of wealth and success. By the time most people get into their late 30s, early 40s, those early drivers start to lose some of their power. And actually people have managed to get a degree of financial security, a degree of recognition. And so they're now looking for meaning. And most developmental psychologists who look at life stages and the way that people change would agree that from the mid-40s to the mid-50s is a time when people start to want to make a broader, bigger contribution to society, leave something behind, a legacy, and give something back. When you start to talk about super successful people, they just want to do more of it. They want to earn more money, they want to be more successful, and they want to leave a bigger legacy behind.
Okay, final question. So have you got any tips as to how we can become super successful in our own lives?
If we look at the lessons that we can learn from super successful people, they probably boil down to 2 or 3 things. One is never give up. So if you really think you've got a fantastic idea, then it doesn't matter if everybody else around you disagrees with you. Keep searching for people who will support you, and eventually you will find the sort of the network that you need. So I think that's one. They have super successful people just have this this ability to keep going even when everybody else has given up on an idea. So that's one thing. I think the other piece is the ability to get up after you've been knocked down. So not to take disappointment too personally, but just see it as something that's a means to an ends. So I think that's the second thing is the ability, resilience, being able to get up when you've been knocked down. And then the final thing is to have the ultimate goal in your head and for that to drive you. What is it that's going to bring you happiness, and stay fixed on it? So most super successful people have big ambitions, big aspirations that can feel a little bit unrealistic to the rest of us. So it's sort of believing in your dreams really, and believing that you have the ability to make those dreams come true.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So that was the doctor telling us how you can be successful, the secret to success. Now, if you say, I don't believe I can make it, you've heard 2 stories of 2 young people, and they're still young, who can be tomorrow future entrepreneurs, right? They can be the future millionaires of tomorrow through hard graft, through hard work, by following some of the things that were mentioned on tonight's program. If you want to be successful, if you want it guaranteed, and still have a level head, and still be humble, and still be the same person without money ruling you, then this person, Pastor Edward, they need God, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the interesting thing is that it's never a matter of luck. It's not God who picks and chooses who he's going to help and who doesn't. Just like in business, you know, people have to deal with adversity, people have to deal with failure, and basically it's the same circumstance that comes to both to them and to us, we could say.
Yes.
But it's just a different way to deal with it. With God is the same.
Yeah.
You know, when we want to be blessed by God, we have to be persistent. As the doctor was saying, the same principles apply in business, in the same way as well as in faith.
Okay, so look, we are going now to pray for you. You that want to kickstart your financial success. And when we say financial success, we're not saying for you now just to forget about everyone and you know, you're those people that you let money rule your head. We're talking about you being responsible. We're talking about you benefiting not only yourself, but helping other people as well. And that's the prayer we're going to say tonight. It's time for prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer and include you in the Finding Answers prayer book, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
God, right now, we unify our faith with the viewers that are now praying with us, in need of strength, in need of your support, believing they can change, but maybe finding a lot of opposition, spiritual opposition, opposition from other people. God, right now I ask you to move your strong, mighty hands towards these people to lift them up. We present this water, my Lord, by faith, and we ask you to use it. So when they drink this water, they may be empowered by you to overcome whatever adversity, challenge, opposition, whatever problem is happening there, whether financial or in any other aspect. Empower this person through their faith to start taking action right now and to overcome whatever hurdle is in their way, to really overcome and show everyone that you are God, that you exist, and that you help those who believe in you and who are perseverant. In Jesus' name, that's what we ask you, and we thank you, God. And those who believe and agree can say now, Amen, and drink the water now.
Just before you go, I just want to say this to you. Your success or your failure depends entirely on you. It depends on what you have inside of you. Even though the chips, how do they say that American saying? If the chips are down, is that right?
The chips are down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that right?
Probably you're talking about, yes, the poker lingo.
Yeah.
Yes,
if the chips are down, if everything's going bad for you, doesn't matter. God is there to pick you up. All right? Until the next time, have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.